Hello, I'm Agent Ghost and welcome to the Archives, and I'm excited to bring you one of my favorite one-shot builds that I put together recently. Here you go. Welcome back, and I'm so excited. As of making this video, we did it, and I'm up to 400 subscribers. Thank you so much, everyone that subscribed, liked, commented, or even just watched my videos. I'm very appreciative and thankful for that. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the build breakdown. enjoy. Starting things off with the specialization, I'm using the Survivalist specialization for the protection from elites it provides, as well as extra healing and access to the Seeker Mender Mine skill. And we'll go into more detail later on in the build breakdown section, but yeah, that's pretty much why I'm using it. Now, moving on to the weapons, I'm currently using the 1886 rifle. It is the key component for weapons for the one-shot part of this build. Now, you can farm this at the countdown. Just set the targeted loot to rifles until you get one. Now, I have damaged targets out of cover rolled on mine. That is the highest multiplicative attribute in the entire game. If you want to pause and look at the core attributes, please do so now. And I'm also using this, or make sure you have rolled on this, the talent Determined. And what Determined does is, after killing an enemy with a headshot, the next shot landed on any enemy will be a guaranteed headshot, which is just so amazing. And down there in the mods, if you want to pause, copy, and paste, you can do so. But real quick, I want to make note, I have plus 5% headshot damage, and I'll go into more detail why I have headshot damage later when we get to the gear part of the build. But you can also change it out if you basically have in total 150% headshot damage. You can change that out for something like reload speed is a great alternative, just so you can reload and hit shots that much quicker. But I just have the headshot for that much more damage. Now moving on to the secondary I'm using, you can pretty much use whatever secondary you want or any SMG you want. But I am opting for the Apartment SMG. It is one of my favorite SMGs in the entire game, and I always love pairing it with one-shot builds. Now, again, in the regular attribute, I have damaged targets out of cover rolled on mine, and normally I would say it's unfortunate that this is a Dark Zone exclusive, so normally you can, well, still you can only get it from Dark Zone vendors in the Dark Zone, or named and conflict caches are the only way you can get the Apartment SMG. But currently right now, if you go to the Dark Zone South, is the vendor there in Dark Zone South is selling it for Dark Zone resources. So if you have the resources and are interested in using the SMG, go pick it up now as of this week. Next Tuesday on the 21st is when they reset, so you have until May 21st on 2024 to go pick it up there, just as a friendly reminder and whatnot. But I'm also using it for the talent Perfectly Measured, which what that does is the top half of the magazine has 20% rate of fire and minus 27% weapon damage, while the bottom half of the magazine has minus 20% rate of fire and plus 33% total weapon damage. So you get more fire rate in the first half but less damage, and less fire rate in the second half of the magazine but more damage. It's just crazy. There are the mods if you want to pause, copy, and paste, and once I get through all the weapons, I'll demonstrate like what the talents do. So for my sidearm, you can use pretty much whatever sidearm or pistol you want. I decided to use the Regulus just because with this headshot build, it pairs really nicely, and I wanted to have some extra fun with it because I really don't use it much after getting it. But unfortunately, it is a real pain to achieve and get. So if you don't have the Regulus pistol, that is absolutely fine. Don't worry. I would recommend something like the D50 with Determined on it is a great alternative, so that way you can hit headshots once again. That's an alternative I'd recommend. Or any pistol with Finisher on it works great with this build. If you have the Orbit, that works as well. And then the other final alternative I'd recommend is the backup boomstick with damage targets out of cover and the talent Close and Personal. And once again, like the Apartment, the backup boomstick is a Dark Zone exclusive, but fortunately, it is actually at another Dark Zone vendor. So instead of Dark Zone South for the Apartment SMG, if you go to Dark Zone West right over here, then you can pick up the backup boomstick for Dark Zone resources. So again, just a friendly reminder. Now, that's it for the weapons. Let's demonstrate what Determined looks like. So I'm gonna shoot that. When you're using a one-shot build and using Determined, it is always ideal to look for the lowest rated health enemies. So if you see red health bar enemies, then you want to go for them first to build up 2 stacks. Essentially, you have to get 2 kills. The first one has to be a headshot, obviously, And then if you can kill the target, you can just aim for them with a body shot. You don't have to, but if you're not going to kill the target, you have to make sure your shot at least two shots, end it with a headshot. And then once you have those 2 stacks, you should be able to one-shot, like even veterans, so purple health enemies. That's the next. If you don't see any red health enemies, go for the purple enemies to build up your headshots. But then you can see after I have my stacks build up, I'm one-shotting that. And then elite enemies right there, I'm one-shotting them even. Now, named enemies, you will not one-shot with this build, which is a little unfortunate, but you can one-shot all the way up to elites with it. And then with named enemies, you will see, boom, I took out a big chunk of its health with that 13 million damage. But that's why, again, why I use the apartment. I just switched to it quickly to finish off the named enemies once I've used my one-shot to take out most of its health. Or if enemies are pressing me or getting close, like as close as this is, make sure to aim with the head with the apartment, because you can see right there that's like 213,000. If I'm aiming for the head, it's closer to 400 to 600,000 because of all the headshot damage we have this build. But I use that to also enemies that are being aggressive and trying to run close to me. So that's the demonstration of the weapons. Again, the first half of the apartment SMG is going to have higher fire rate but do less damage, and then the second half is gonna shoot slower but do more damage. So that's how it works. Now moving on, we'll move on to the gear. So I'm currently using the Hunter's Fury gear set, and we're going to start with the mask, the Hunter's Fury mask. Now if you're wearing 2 pieces of the Hunter's Fury, you get plus 15% shotgun damage and plus 15% SMG damage, so that will apply to our apartment. And if you are using the backup boomstick, the shotgun damage will apply to that too, which just helps. Now, for 3 pieces, this is a big part of why I'm using this gear set, is for the survivability it provides with plus 20% armor on kill and plus 50% health on kill. So when I get a kill, especially with the one-shot build, it will give me some armor back as well as health on kill. But you have to make sure the Hunter's Fury symbol is over your target in order to get any of the benefits of that. So say if it's 10 meters away, that's fine. 15 meters away, that's too far away. If you don't see the Hunter's Fury symbol above it, it will not proc when you kill him. You got to make sure you see like that arrow with a knife through it in order to get the health on kill and everything benefit. Now, for the 4-piece bonus, you get Apex Predator, which enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff amplifying your weapon damage. So it's within 15 meters, so like 14.9 meters. So when I hit the 15, that's why it wasn't showing. A debuff amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. And that's another reason why I'm using this gear set, is I get a plus 20% weapon damage when it's close. And because we're using rifles and not sniper rifles and SMGs and such, that 15 meters is pretty common. It's not always, but once you have your one-shot damage built up all the way up to elite enemies, then you can even shoot them much farther than that and don't have to rely on that 20%, but it helps. Now, killing a debuffed enemy with your weapon disorientates other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This happens pretty often with this build, so you can disorientate enemies that are pretty close and get that increased damage, but it's not super, it happens enough, but it's not something that's going to like happen every single time. So just keep that in mind. Now moving on to the Hunter Fury's hands, I have 170,000 armor in the core attribute. You can switch this out for weapon damage, but 1 to 1.1 million is that sweet spot for survivability that I like, so that's why I have an armor core there, and plus 7% headshot damage. And the regular attribute you can get maxed out 10%. And for the Hunter's Fury knee guards, I have plus 15% weapon damage in the core attribute and 8.4% headshot damage in the regular attribute. For the Hunter's Fury holster, I have plus 12% weapon damage in the core attribute and 7.7% headshot damage in the regular attribute. Again, you can get those maxed out at 10% and 15% for the weapon damage, 10% for the headshot damage is what I mean. Now moving on to the chest piece, I am using the Walker Harris named chest piece, the Chain Killer, and I'm using it for the Talent Perfect Headhunter, but we'll get into that after we go over the brand set and attribute bonuses. So for the brand set bonus, wearing 1 piece will give us plus 5% weapon damage, just helps that much more. And the core attribute plus 15% weapon damage, and the regular attribute plus 8.3% headshot damage. And then I have plus 8% weapon handling. You can set that to crit hit chance if you want, but I just like the weapon handling, which makes our weapons that much more accurate and stable and whatnot, which really helps. So that's why I have it, but you can change that out for crit hit chance or whatever you feel like you need. Now, in the mod slot, I have a 9.7% headshot damage mod. Just throw on the highest headshot damage mod you have. Oh, yeah, and I forgot I did a 10% headshot damage mod in the Hunter's Fury mask as well. Now, in the talent for the Chain Killer Walker Harris chest piece, it is called Perfect Hunter, and what that does is after killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of that killing blow damage, which is just crazy already, but it gets even more insane. Damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised, however, to 1,250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. And that's why I was saying earlier with the headshot mod on my 1886 rifle, you want 150%. We'll go over the stats before we get into the final gameplay footage, but I just want to point that I have 156% headshot damage, so you don't need that mod if you already have over 150, which I would, but I still just wanted that extra damage. Now, that's how I'm able, after getting 2 shots, or 2 kills, essentially, like if I'm over here, I get the headshot, boom, I can aim for the body once again, boom, and then with those 2 stacks, it won't one-shot the named enemies, like I said, but there we go, another big chunk of the named enemy's health. Now for the backpack, I'm using the Exotic Memento backpack. This is one of my favorite backpacks in the entire game, and it has great synergy with this build. Anytime you're in a more close to mid-range fighting style, this backpack really has great synergy. So one of the reasons why I love this backpack is it gives you a core attribute in all 3 core attribute categories. So it gives us plus 13% weapon damage, plus 146,000 armor, and an extra skill tier, which is just great for our skills. Now, I have my expertise at 5, so it gives me plus 5% armor, and then in the attribute I have plus 10% headshot damage. Now I'm mainly using this for the talent though, Kill Confirmed, and what that does is enemies you kill drops a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provides both a short and long-term buff, the first of which scales with the number of core attributes equipped and lasts 10 seconds. So you can get plus 5% weapon damage per trophy, plus 10% bonus armor for trophy, and that can stack up significantly to get a lot of extra bonus armor. Just keep in mind it only lasts for 10 seconds, but you can extend it each trophy you pick up. And then plus 5% skill efficiency. Now that's the short-term buff. Now the long-term buff that also stacks with the short-term buff is for every trophy collected, gain an additional 1% weapon damage, plus 1% skill efficiency, and 0.1% armor regeneration for 300 seconds. The maximum stacks is 30. So boom, when you get to maximum stacks of 30, you can get plus 30% weapon damage, which is insane, plus 30% skill efficiency, and plus 0.3% armor regeneration for 300 seconds, which with this build, armor regeneration goes with the percentage and armor you have. So when we get max stacks, it will be close to around 30,000 armor regen, which is just crazy. Now, that's it for the gear. Let's move on to the skills, and then we can go over the final stats and whatnot, and then final gameplay footage. So I am using again, the survivalist specialization to have access to the Seeker Mender Mine, which the healing it provides is plus 26,000 HP per second, and PvE and PvP it's 13,000. And I'll show you what that looks like once we go over both skills. Now there are the mods if you want to pause, copy, and paste that I'm using for the Seeker Mender Mine. Now the other skill I'm using is the Fixer Drone skill, and I'm using both of these in conjunction to keep myself up. And I'll go in more detail in just a sec with that. For the healing, this provides us 24,000 healing per second and 12,000 in PvP, which we're not really, this isn't really a PvP build, but I'm just going over that. Now there are the mods. If you want to pause, copy, and paste, please do so. But so how it works is for the Seeker Mender Mine, it's like a little rolling ball right there, and it will follow you around and create a healing field. So if I take damage, for example, there's the little healing field all around, and if you and allies are in this field, it will heal both of you. And there it is. It's doing a pretty good job by itself keeping me alive, but I also have the Fixer Drone to get double dipping and heals. And I'm basically doing this because this build, the one-shot build, works with all the global directives active, and you can see it's doing a good job of keeping me up, along with the Memento backpack, if we get all 30 stacks, this healing right here for the 26,000 would be closer to like 32,000 healing, and this would 24,000 healing would be closer to like 28,000 healing. It's just that much more potent, along with the armor regen and everything else like armor and health on kill that we have. This build has a lot of survivability, but I wanted it that way, so that way you have a chance with all the global directives active to build up your stacks and create pot shots, so when you extend forward and they're shooting at you, these two things will keep you healing so you can keep going up and taking shots at your enemy until they're dead, like so. So that's why I have them. Now real quick before we go into the stats, I actually do, if you hit the back button and click on global settings and then go change global directives, I just want to go over these real quick because I'm using this build with them on. So when you have all 5 of them active, you can see you get plus 125% bonus experience, which is great for leveling your shield levels and whatnot. So right now I have Fog of War revisited. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can pause, copy, and paste. I'll hold for a second, then you can read them if you want. But I will go over a couple of them. Like right now, Fragile Armor. Essentially, again, you can pause and read it over, but essentially when your armor breaks, like you saw when I was holding damage self, that red point on my armor right there means that I can't heal past back up basically 25% of my armor. And the only way to get that back is using an armor kit like so, and then boom, now I have it back. So when you get those, you want to use an armor kit in order to do that. There is a point where you can be down to only 25% armor, and when that happens, I'd recommend going to like a safe house or something of that equivalent, and then that will reset everything. And then the only other global directive that I want to go over pretty much is Pistol Arrow. And what that does is start with no ammo, hostile killed with a sidearm is the only ammo source to get. So essentially when you turn that on, you will only have pistol armor, your other pistol ammo, your other ammo for your SMG in this case and rifle, you won't have any. So I always recommend going to like territory controls is what I recommend with your pistol or your sidearm, and there's normally a lot of red enemies that you can take out there to kill and get tons of ammo, and then go tackle harder activities like control points or public executions or what have you. But that's what I'd highly recommend doing with that active. But that goes back to my next point. If you are having trouble or struggling with any of these, you can turn them all off, and this build is just that much easier and more fun, less sweaty, I guess is the way I'd put it, to mess around with and have fun in the open world. And you'd still get good XP, or in my case, sometimes, or if you're struggling, just turn off one with that one, and you're still, like for example, I sometimes turn off Pistol Arrow to not have to deal with the extra chore of getting ammo. And then that plus 100% XP is still great, or 75 or 50, it's still more XP than what you would get with all of them off. So just do what you can. Now let's go over discard. Now let's go over the final stats, and then we can move on to the final gameplay footage. So for my rifle, I have 677,000 weapon damage. That's PvP. 10% crit hit chance. Again, this is a one-shot headshot build, so it's not a big deal. 60% crit hit damage. 156.1% headshot damage. Very key that you're just 150% or over. That's all that matters with this build to get full benefit. As well as damage targets out of cover. Now on the offensive, I have 84.8% all weapon damage bonus. 13.2% rifle damage bonus. We're not using assault rifles, but there that is. 30% submachine gun damage bonus, and 30% shotgun damage bonus if you're using the backup boomstick, or in your secondary instead of SMG, you can always put a shotgun as well for that bonus. Now, we've already gone over the gear set and brand set bonuses, so just onto the defense. I have 1,081,000 armor. It's 1.1 million because it rounds up there, but that's the exact number. Again, 1 to 1.1 million is what I find that sweet spot for the survivability of this build. 216,000 armor on kill because of Hunter's Fury gear set. The armor regeneration, again, when we get max stacks of the Memento backpack, it won't be at 0, it'll be closer to like 30,000 armor regen a second. So just that much more survivability. 33,422 max health. 167,000 health on kill, again from Hunter's Fury, and That's pretty much it. The only other thing, quick disclaimer I like to do for all my build videos, everything that you saw here, please make any changes that you see fit, whether that's the specialization, weapons, gear, or skills. Just use any and all my builds as a base template and experiment and have fun. That's the whole point of the game. Please do so. Now, without further ado, everyone, please take care, be safe, have a wonderful rest of your day/night, and bye.